In 2004, one of the most powerful women in America walked through the gates of a federal prison in West Virginia carrying nothing but a handmade poncho and a reputation in ruin.
I faced what I had to face. I lived through it with actually sort of flying colors.
The stock tip that put her there, it saved her less than $50,000. The empire she had built was worth nearly $1 billion. She had gone from a Polish immigrant's daughter to becoming the face of American domesticity, a television icon, and one of the first self-made female billionaires in U.S. history. And here's what most people miss. Prison didn't break Martha Stewart, it made her stronger. This is the full story. To understand Martha Stewart, you have to go back to Nutley, New Jersey, 1941. Her father, Edward Kostyra, was the son of Polish immigrants, a determined man, a school teacher who dreamed of more. Her mother, Martha Sr., was strict and exacting, someone who believed perfection was not optional. It was expected. There were 6 children crammed into that house. Money was always tight, but there was a garden, a massive vegetable garden that Edward tended with obsessive care. And young Martha, she was right there with him, learning the names of every plant, understanding that beauty and order could be created with your own 2 hands. This is not a small detail. This is the origin story. Martha would later say that almost everything she knows she learned in that garden. By the time Martha was a teenager, she was already modeling for Chanel ads in New York City. She put herself through Barnard College, one of the most prestigious women's colleges in America, partly through modeling work. There, she met Andrew Stewart, a Yale law student. They married in 1961. She was 19 years old. She graduated with a degree in European history and art. Smart, ambitious, beautiful, and completely unsatisfied with conventional housewife life. For a brief period, she worked as a stockbroker on Wall Street in the late 1960s as a woman. She was doing this in an era when female brokers were a novelty act. She was good at it too, but Wall Street wasn't where her real genius lived. In 1972, Martha and Andrew bought a farmhouse in Westport, Connecticut. Turkey Hill, they called it. 1805, historic, falling apart. Martha threw herself into restoring it, and what she created wasn't just a home, it was a philosophy. Then in 1976, with just a few $100s and a kitchen in the basement, Martha started a catering company. She called it simply the Uncatered affair. The food was extraordinary, but more importantly, the presentation was unlike anything Connecticut had seen. This wasn't party trays from a deli. This was handmade pâtés, sculpted butter, flowers woven through serving dishes. This was an experience. Word spread fast. Within 2 years, she had catered events for some of the most powerful names in New York. She was booked solid for a year in advance. A publisher named Alan Merkin saw what Martha was doing and had a simple thought. This woman needs to write a book. In 1982, Entertaining was published. It was not a cookbook. It was something that hadn't existed before. Part instruction manual, part philosophy, part aspirational lifestyle document. It showed Americans not just what to cook, but how to live beautifully. The book sold 625,000 copies in its first year. Martha Stewart was suddenly not just a caterer. She was a brand.
It sold out immediately. It was such an instant hit. Well, I became an expert overnight.
Through the 1980s, Martha published book after book. Weddings, hors d'oeuvres, The Wedding Planner. Each one was a bestseller. In 1987, Martha partnered with Kmart to create a line of housewares, not luxury goods, affordable, beautiful, well-designed products for everyday Americans. Sheets, towels, garden tools, things that previously came in either cheap and ugly or expensive and out of reach. Martha put her name on beautiful and affordable, and America responded. At peak, her Kmart line was generating over $2 billion in annual sales for Kmart, but it established her as something far more powerful than a celebrity author. She was a lifestyle authority that reached into working-class living rooms.
I'm Martha Stewart, and I'm Kmart's new consultant for entertaining and lifestyle.
TV came next. In 1993, Martha premiered on television, a cooking and lifestyle show that felt nothing like anything on the air. No studio audience, no laugh track, no jokes, just Martha showing you how to make the perfect lemon tart or force a bulb in winter. In 1990, Martha launched Martha Stewart Living magazine. By the late 1990s, it had over 2 million subscribers. In October 1999, Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia went public on the New York Stock Exchange. On the first day of trading, the stock opened at $18 a share and closed at $35. Martha's personal stake in the company was worth approximately $1.27 billion. The New York Times ran a profile. Forbes put her on the cover. CBS News called her the definitive American success story. And then, just 2 years later, it all started to unravel. December 27th, 2001, Martha is on a private jet heading to Mexico for the holidays. Her broker calls. He tells her that Sam Waxall, the CEO of Imclone, a biotech company whose stock Martha owned, is trying to sell all his shares. This kind of inside tip is not legal. But Martha doesn't dig into the why. She gives the order, sell all her Imclone shares, 3,928 shares. She saved herself approximately $45,000 on a net worth of over $1 billion. The investigation lasted nearly 2 years. Martha maintained she had done nothing wrong, citing a pre-existing agreement with her broker to sell if the stock fell below a certain price. Prosecutors didn't buy it. In 2003, she was indicted on charges including conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and securities fraud. The trial was a media circus. Every day, cameras outside the courthouse, opinion pieces daily. Half of America thought she was being made an example of, powerful woman being brought down for what wealthy men did routinely. The other half thought the law was the law. On March 5th, 2004, the jury came back guilty on all 4 counts. Martha Stewart was sentenced to 5 months in federal prison. She reported to Alderson Federal Prison Camp in West Virginia on October 8, 2004. She served her full 5-month sentence. While she was inside, the media ran almost daily pieces about the death of her brand. Her company's stock had collapsed. Advertisers were nervous. The television show was canceled. She had served her sentence with dignity and zero self-pity. In interviews, she would later describe prison as an education, and she came out with a different perspective on America's criminal justice system. She advocated for prison reform. By fall 2005, Martha was back on television. Not one show, 2. Martha, a daytime talk show, and The Apprentice, Martha Stewart, a spin-off of Donald Trump's reality hit. The Apprentice version didn't get the same ratings as Trump's, but it didn't matter. The point was made, Martha Stewart was back, and no 5 months in federal prison was going to stop her. Her company stabilized. Her magazine continued publishing. Her Kmart line expanded. New product deals came in. She appeared on magazine covers. She won Emmy nominations. She collaborated with Snoop Dogg in one of the most improbable and beloved partnerships in pop culture history. A friendship so genuine and entertaining that it spawned a television show, a cooking show, and years of viral content. In the years after prison, Martha methodically rebuilt. She expanded into CBD products, launched new cookbooks, entered the cannabis industry in Canada, and signed major licensing deals that extended her brand into bedding, cookware, pet products, and outdoor furniture. She sold Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia to Sequential Brands in 2015 for $353 million. Martha Stewart took domestic work, cooking, cleaning, gardening, decorating, and elevated it. For most of the 20th century, the home was where women's ambition went to die. Martha argued the opposite. She said, "There is artistry here, there is knowledge here, there is something worth doing excellently." She professionalized the domestic sphere and made it aspirational. She also demonstrated, at a time when it was far from obvious, that a woman could build a billion-dollar company, not by abandoning traditional feminine domains, but by mastering and monetizing them. Let's put the scope of her career in concrete terms. Over 90 books published, a magazine that ran for over 25 years, television presence spanning 4 decades, product lines generating billions in retail sales, a company she took public that made her a billionaire, a comeback after federal prison that most PR firms would call impossible. She appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition at age 81. That's the story of Martha Stewart. If this video gave you something to think about, subscribe to Fame and Fortune. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.